Stupid idiot. Stupid idiots. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiot. Stupid idiots.
On January 8th, 2024, Dead by Daylight added Boon Totems to the game. There were many reasons the devs could have done this, but the most likely is simply that they want to spice up gameplay by giving survivors something to do with dull totems and by giving killers a new threat to react to and manage. The concept for Boons was solid too, as it not only mixed up a tired formula, but it did that while also offering a survivor equivalent to Hex totems, which had long been one of the more exciting and interesting tools in a killer's kit. In theory, Boons would be less powerful than Hexes, but still meaningful to the outcome of a given trial, which would mean they were worth bringing but not game-breaking. Because there are 4 survivors to only 1 killer, it just wouldn't make sense for Boons to be as strong as Hexes like Devour Hope, Blood Favor, or Pentimento, which, admittedly did make balancing them extremely difficult right from the jump. Despite this, both sides seem fairly excited to see what could be done with this new mechanic, and I think everybody went into it, outside of a few people on social media, I think most people went into it with at least reasonable expectations and a willingness to see how it played out. Sadly, history repeated itself, and just like with Hexes, the Boon mechanic proved highly problematic right out of the gate. When Hexes first went live, Hag introduced 3 of them to the game with her chapter, and 2 of them, Devour and Third Seal, they were fine, and they remain that way to this day. Hex Ruin, however, was insanely overtuned and ruined Survivor gameplay for a considerable period of time. It gets brushed under the rug these days, but Ruin had a multi-year reign of terror in which it greatly punished survivors for hitting anything but great skill checks. As bad as that was, Boons had something even worse in store for us, though again, most of them have been fine. To date, only 1 Boon Totem has been problematic at all. Shadow Step, Dark Theory, and Exponential vary in strength, but none of them are game-breaking by any means. Boon Circle of Healing, though, was like if someone took the terror of Hex Ruin and put it on anabolic steroids. Upon release, this perk was absolutely busted and made Killer a complete nightmare to play. Within the first 30 seconds of loading into a game, there would be maybe 2 to 3 boons being lit immediately somewhere around the map. Maybe they would be paired with other boon perks, but there was no doubt that amongst the perks being used, Circle of Healing would be in there, and to be fair, why wouldn't survivors use it? It gave them infinite heals without needing a teammate or a medkit. This was, of course, totally busted and lasted through a few varieties before the perk was finally changed in a meaningful way in patch 6.7 to no longer be nearly as powerful or to even function the same. Basically, they took it from being a self-healing perk to being an altruistic perk. Which brings us to where we are today. The game has a grand total of 4 boons, and we haven't gotten a new one since the Sadako Rising chapter, which dropped all the way back in March of 2022. 3 of the 4 are pretty strong, one of them, Dark Theory, is pretty weak, and all of them are at least somewhat rare in public lobbies. Not unheard of, mind you, but much rarer than one might expect for pretty good perks. Sadly, I can't help but feel like Behavior has kind of given up on boon perks for the time being, especially when compared to their cousin mechanic, Hexes. The first Hexes were introduced back in 2016, and since then, there have been new ones added semi-regularly, with the most recent Hex being added with Chucky's 2 Can Play, which just came out less than 2 months ago. We have 14 Hexes, and almost all of them are decent or better, which is obviously a much better place to be than what we see with the boon perks. And by the way, while on this subject of things the devs have seemingly put on the back burner for the time being, it's been a while since we saw any Scourge hooks either. We got 3 chapters in a row with them, starting with Hellraiser and ending with Sadako Rising, but since then we have seen 7 killers come and go without a single new Scourge. Unless you count Pig's Hangman's Trick being converted to one, which I guess would be fair, but it's not exactly, that's not exactly world-shattering stuff. It's just a bummer because both boons and Scourge hooks have a lot of potential for fun, but it seems like Behavior grew gun-shy after how overpowered Circle of Healing and Pain Res proved to be. Yes, they made the game miserable for a while, but I have a feeling that more people than not, on both sides, would still like to see more boons and Scourges added to the game, despite the risk of them being busted. The DBD gameplay loop has gotten stale for a lot of players, and if I'm being honest, myself included, and attempts to spice things up are absolutely always welcome. Obviously, the ideal scenario is that the new game modes we've been promised, they'll arrive and they'll really change things up, but in the meantime, I hope we see some more interesting boons, hexes, and scourges introduced while we wait, because they really do have that potential to transform matchups, and I would like to see it. But either way, this is just a weird thing that I was thinking about recently, and I wanted to make a quick little video talking about it. So I realize this is not as long as my usual content, but I would be interested to know, how do you feel about boons? How do you feel about scourges? How do you feel about hexes? And would you like to see more of any of these? Or do you think that actually we're good? Maybe the risk is just too great, because with what we saw with Pain Resonance and especially Circle of Healing, I mean, obviously these perks are a bit of a loaded gun in their own right. So I'm interested to see what you say down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are. And until next time, I've been Dustfood. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my